was going to bring up is another thing about Sarah Palin, if you can.
Go ahead.
Okay. And this little speech that she gave about small-town Americans. Do you have the clip?
We believe that the best of America is not all in Washington, D.C. We believe that the best of America is in these small towns that we get to visit and in these wonderful little pockets of what I call real America, being here with all of you, hardworking, very patriotic, very pro-America areas of this great nation. This is where we find the kindness and the goodness and the courage of everyday Americans, those who are running our factories and teaching our kids and growing our food and fighting.
Sarah Palin has appealed from the beginning to people whom she feels are most like herself, from the smaller towns, saying they are the more patriotic, they have the truer values. People in small towns certainly do. What troubles me about it is I don't like pitching one part of America against another part of America. Mm-hmm. If you live in a bigger city, that doesn't mean that you're not as patriotic. That doesn't mean that you don't have as good a heart. That doesn't mean even that you're not a factory worker. It's playing to prejudices. The other part of it that bothers me...
Can I interrupt you? Because I'd like to
do I have a choice?
Well, just to answer that point before you change the point.
I know how you feel.
Before you change the point. You can go back to your point. Okay. New York City, the World Trade Center, was attacked by terrorists. That is a big city. We are the enemies of these terrorists in our city. Don't put down cities. Cities are vulnerable to terrorist attacks. We drive the economy. Leave it alone, Sarah.
I do think that
and then I'll get back to that. The other thing that troubled me, which is why when you talked about Barack Obama's fancy words, I feel so bad for you.
I'm freezing today.
You're freezing.
And I did it to myself.
I can barely talk.
So cute. I wanted to wear it.
The whole use of the word elitism. Elitism as a bad word. Elitism to suggest perhaps somebody educated or somebody who may have gone to college and so on. And the whole business that everybody seems to run on, not just Sarah Palin, is I'm against Washington. What is Washington? Washington is congressmen and senators whom we have elected. And the moment you become a vice president or a senator or a governor, not a governor, you are in Washington. Why are we always pulling down Washington as the elite? Now. We elected them.
Look, I don't think that Sarah Palin was... I think she can say that small towns are good in this country. I think she can say there are people in areas maybe we don't hear about every day that aren't big cities that do have people who are fighting for our country, like her son is.
That they're more patriotic.
She didn't say more. She didn't say more. She simply said the areas that are pro-America.
There are the real America.
They're called the real America.
Of freedom.
A lot of people
Wait a
will
second.
say.
She says those who are protecting the virtues of freedom, as if the small towns are the only people who are protecting the virtues of freedom. I just pointed out that we are in the eye of the storm here. Protecting the virtues of freedom.
Absolutely, like her kid is.
Pro-America areas of this great nation. Sure. So if you don't live in a small town, you're anti-America?
Here's the deal. Sons and daughters from big towns and small towns and itty-bitty towns are dying.
Yes.
They are dying. Yes. They don't go and they don't say, hi, I'm enlisting because I'm from a small town. We send our children to fight for America. Period. So this idea, and I agree with you, Barbara, this idea of putting this in and saying these people are more than this and they don't know. You know what? If we're not all Americans, if we're not in it as Americans, there is the problem.
What about when Barack Obama said that people in Pennsylvania were clinging to their guns and bitter Americans there when he was over in Seattle or wherever he was in the Northwest?
And what did we sit here and say? Excuse me, don't sit there and act like we didn't say that was a crappy thing for him to say, because we did say that. We sat here and said the same damn thing. This is I'm just making my point, which is we are Americans. We are Americans. We are Americans. That's all I have to say. Goodbye.
If she hates Washington so much, why is she in such a hurry to go there?
I don't think it's wrong to look at Washington and the corruption we've been seeing.
Can I just say one thing as represented here? And that is, these are John McCain, Barack Obama, Sarah Palin, Joe Biden are good and decent people who want to do something for their country. Right. The kind of anger that this is erupting, whether it's the five of us or this country, I think is deplorable. I cannot wait for this all to be over. Why can we not disagree?